Hi guys, welcome back on the channel. I appreciate you being here once again. So in this video, what we're going to take a look at is gold, and I'm going to show you guys one of my trade that I currently have on the market. So this trade is still running. We don't know if it will finish, either as a break-even or as a winning trade, but nonetheless, I still want to show you guys how I basically managed to get myself in this trade and explain you a bit, the thought process that I went through in order to find this opportunity. So this video is really just to give you kind of more insight into my trading and to really just help you guys understand more of what I do. Most of the time, I keep these videos more for the course, but I decided today to just record this for free for you guys on YouTube, just to share more value, and hopefully you guys learn a thing or two. So let's get right into it. So first of all, one of the most important things to consider, when it comes to gold, especially what gold is doing right now, is that it is in a uptrend over the long term. Now, what does that mean? That means that the only thing I will ever look for on a chart like this is a place to get in a buy, because I'm just going to follow the trend. I'm not going to try to fight the market. I just want to be positioned in the same direction as the market and ride the movement along, okay? So that's the idea. Now, this was the COVID pandemic. Then we had a big movement to the upside. And really since last summer, we have been making this big correction on the daily chart. And so when this correction was in the making, I was looking at a few different levels to where the price could go back to. And so one of these levels was actually around the 1700 level, and more precisely, basically, these levels right there. Now, as I just said, these were the high of the COVID. Right before the pandemic. Okay, so we had a uptrend here already going on gold. Then the pandemic started right here, and these were the highs. So most of the time I will not pay too much attention to these old horizontal levels, because in my own trading system I don't use that too much. But one thing that can be interesting is if the level has a fundamental meaning behind it, then it can become interesting to look at in the present moment. And so this is what we have right here. So these levels here to me are relatively interesting because of the fact that they have a huge fundamental event attached to them. And so as you guys can see, more recently, the price came back on this level once, then it went back up, it did that a second time, and right now we are way higher. So this was a really important level. And not only did we have this kind of horizontal level, but we also had a beautiful trend line going up right there. So we have a third touch trend line right here, even fourth touch we could say, but whatever, right? So we had this area here with the trend line as well, and we could also have taken a look at this trend line right here. So again, right, so the third touch of the trend line right here. So this overall was a really big area that I was looking at. And so to me, this was one of the most interesting plays to start looking for a reversal. Now, I did not buy right on the level because that's not how I trade. I don't try to predict the market. I don't try to predict whether the level will hold or will break. I would rather wait for a good confirmation and then be able to position myself in the trade, right? After that, we could also have taken a look at this trend line. You will see why it's important. And I was also taking a look at this one right here. So we had this touch here, this one, and right here, it started to kind of try to break, and this was already a good sign. So as I said, right, we came back on this level here, rejected once, rejected twice. And then after that, what the price did is that it went back up right here. It went back up here, we had a pullback there, and when it broke again here to the upside, so when we started to see a uptrend on the chart, this is where I was really interested in positioning myself long on this market. So I got in the trade somewhere around here with a stop under these levels here, because as we just saw, this was a really big level and an important one for the market. Now, this was the trade setup that I went with, and so my target is much further above all of these levels here, because overall, at the end of the day, I think that all of this could just be a correction. And if the price, is able to break above all the obstacles that we have, we could go on and keep going up within the larger uptrend that we have on the weekly and on the monthly chart. So This is a very long-term trade. It's more kind of a position within the portfolio than just, a swing trade per se. But it's important to understand kind of the dynamic between all of this, right? So this was the entry. As I said, stop was under here and target was much further down the line. Now, what I like about this trade, let me just remove this. What I liked about this trade is that in terms of probabilities, once we broke above right here around these levels, we had a high probability of at least going back up to around the 1850 level, which is the trend line, the 200 moving average, right? And when the price would get to this level, I would have a great opportunity to move my stop loss to other levels, which would reduce the risk. And that's the reason why this trade, in terms of probability, had a good probability, a pretty high one, of either, losing a bit of money, break even, or winning, but not even, just taking the initial loss that I was looking for. So in terms of probabilities, this made a lot of sense. So what happened after that? So we had the impulse up, we had a correction, we had another one, we had a bigger correction. And so this was really interesting at that time because, as you guys can see, the market was kind of fighting this moving average and this one right here with 1800. And last week we were able to break through this very strongly and go straight to the next kind of area of obstacles that we have right here. So now with this movement here, we can add this trend line. We could clone this one and we could also have it there, right? So pretty much we have this uptrend going on. And so as you guys can see with this low right now, to me it is a significant enough daily low in a way that I was able to move my stop from here to these levels right there. And so if you guys remember, well, I got in the trade around here, so this trade is pretty much at break even right now. And so these are the kind of trades that I like to position myself in, because in terms of probabilities, again, they are extremely good, right? Everything is about probabilities when it comes to trading. And so what you guys have to understand is that you need to probability adjust everything when it comes to taking a trade. So when you take a trade, you can look at your, the stop loss, you can look at the target level, but more importantly, what you have to do is to probability adjust these levels and see if it's actually a trade that is worth taking or not. And so by taking the trade where I took it with the stop loss that I had, as I said, a high probability that the trade would at least go back to this upper part of the correction, which is where the price is currently right now. And by the time that it got there, I would have most likely a new daily low where I could move my stop loss. So the initial stop loss that I had under these levels here was a very low probability level that the market would go to, right? It was not probable that the market would go back down. So in terms of the risk, it was actually a pretty small risk trade. And now that we have this new daily low, as I said, I was able to move my stop under this. So there is practically no risk left on this trade. So the worst case scenario is basically a break-even trade. And the best case scenario, if it actually breaks through all these obstacles right here to the upside and keep going up, then the potential is extremely big on this trade. And so that is how when you do the analysis correctly and when you know how to manage your trade properly, you are able to take positions with a risk-reward ratio that seems just fine right at the beginning, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1. But if you adjust these metrics to probabilities, you will see that you can find extremely high quality trade setups. And if you just take these trades over the long term and repeat out of this, this is how at the end of the day, you will be able to grow your account over the long term, right? So the idea is to find trades that in terms of probabilities have a small chance of losing money, and in terms of probabilities, again, right, it has a high chance of either break even or making a lot of money. At the end of the day, that is pretty much what you have to do in your trading, finding these opportunities with good probabilities. So that's pretty much it. So this was kind of the technical breakdown for gold. Now, as I said, I'm still in the trade, right? So I guess that we will see in the future whether this trade ends up to be a break-even trade or a winning trade, but whatever. I am now in a position where I cannot lose money on this trade. So that's pretty much all you need, right? At this point, if you cannot lose money on a trade, well, all you have to do is wait it out, right? Just wait and see what happens. But in the worst case scenario, does not even hurt your account. So that's really the best of the best situation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned one thing or two. I really tried to give you guys as much value as I could within a couple of minutes. I did not want to make this too long. So if you like the video, don't forget to leave a like on it. You can also share it around if you want. And yeah, so on that, take care, trade with care, manage your money well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.